Is sim save necromancy, like, weird? Is that a weird thing, or is that like a normal thing that people do? Chances are, whenever you're watching this video, there is a Sims patch upcoming. In fact, when I'm filming it, the Eco Lifestyle patch is coming out in just a few days. Patch time can be very scary. Today, I'm going to give you all of the information you need to protect your beloved Sims, lots, and saves. I'm also going to discuss how to put your mods back in place after a patch, and other things that you need to do in order to prevent losing your saves and breaking your game. If your stories are really important to you, there is a lot of information in this video that can help you, so it's imperative that you watch to the very end. I hope you like it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask below. I'd be happy to help you out. First off, a lot of people ask, why do I need to back up? You should always back up everything to avoid heartache. It can be easy to think that just because something is saved on your computer, that is safe, but your computer could crash, you could have your files get corrupted in update, your computer could get stolen, a number of things can happen to your data. So it's always good to be in the practice of backing up. In addition, because The Sims is a complicated game, and because we have a specific emotional attachment to those characters, it's particularly important that we make sure that these files are backed up. I mean, if we do stuff that we care about, you might play the game different than I do. While the Sims team does test the game to try and avoid problems with updates, they can't possibly test for every possible combination of expansion packs, computer systems, and things like that. So unfortunately, there's no way for them to 100% guarantee that when there's a patch coming out, that there's not going to be harm for your game. The only way you can protect your data is by backing it up and by having responsible habits. When should you back up? Personally, I back up after big events in my games that I don't want to lose, like if there's a wedding or if a baby is born or something like that. I also have an alarm set up in my phone to back up weekly for my things that I do for Let's Plays and other videos. Finally, anytime they start talking about a new expansion, I know that it is time to back up. There will be a patch within a few days of any new expansion. Normally, the patch is released early in the week and then the expansion released late in the week. I know that sometime before that expansion releases, I'm gonna need to back up my data. A lot of people don't know what they need to back up in their Sims directory. So obviously, your saves need to be backed up. Your tray file should be backed up as well, because that contains the data for the Sims themselves and for your households, like where your walls are and where the nose on your Sim is, things like that. Many people that have a lot of custom content also put their custom content, things like hairs and outfits and tables, that type of custom content, in a backup as well, because it can be difficult or time consuming to get back. I do not recommend backing up script mods, so things like Wicked Whims or MC Command Center or UI tweaks or things like that, because these tend to get updated very regularly, and you want to have the most recent version. And you want to have the most recent version. If you don't have the most recent version, it could cause your game to crash, which nobody ever wants. A lot of people ask where they should back up their Sims data. There are several different ways to back up your Sims files. So you can back up your files on your own computer. You put them in a folder somewhere on your desktop, or you can put it on a secondary hard drive that you have in your computer or something like that. The benefits of that, it's very quick and easy. You can get programs that will do it automatically for you, and it's right there if you need it. The downside is that those files can take up a lot of space on your computer, and if something physically happens to your computer, you don't have those files anymore. The next option is things like external hard drives or USB thumb drives. These are good because they're very easy to use, they're very quick to use, and they're very easy to store. They don't take up a lot of space. They're also very easy to lose and very easy to damage, so I would keep that in mind. Finally, what I tend to do is use some type of cloud storage like Google Drive or Dropbox. The good thing about those options is that I can access it anywhere that I have a computer, so if I need to access my saves at a friend's house or something like that. The downside of that is that some of those can cost money and that you do need to have an internet connection in order for it to work. So if you are in a scenario where you don't have internet access, you are still without your saves. Personally, I try to back things up locally on an external hard drive and also on the Google Drive as well, just so I have redundancy. A lot of people ask how long they should keep these backups for. Personally, I try to keep mine for about a year. I make a folder, I date it, I put my files in there, I put it aside in case I need it. A lot of times I've found that, maybe I'll have a save and I have like a grandma that I don't visit very often and she dies and I don't have her anymore. I can go back from an old save and get her, and Is sim save necromancy like weird? Is that a weird thing or is that like a normal thing that people do? I don't know, whatever, but you can do it. You can do necromancy of your dead sims if you have these old saves because you can just pull the sims back off the saves. It's great. Next, I am going to go into mods. Now, mods can be confusing to a lot of people, so I want to try and give a couple of really quick vocabulary words. First is a tuning mod. A tuning mod is something that uses code that EA has already put in the game and just tweaks it a little bit to use it in a different way. It doesn't add any code to the game. Then you have script mods. These are actually adding code to the game. The way that you know these is because they have a different extension at the end. At the end of the file name, it'll be .ts4 script. Because these script mods are actually adding content to the game, it is really important that you have the most up-to-date version of these files. I would never back up these mods and use old versions unless I was extremely careful in doing it. Some people ask, if you need to be careful with mods around patch time, does that mean that mods are intrinsically bad? And I would say that no, they really aren't. Mods, especially script mods, they interact with the underlying game code. If the underlying game code changes, the mods will need to change to reflect that. And yeah, it is inconvenient that can cause problems and that you need to do maintenance every time there is a patch with your mods. I've found that they're generally pretty reliable if you do keep them up to date. Most of the error messages that I get are fairly minimal, and I run with a significant amount of CC without any real problems. I highly recommend before your game patches, take all of your mods out of the mod folder to prevent any chance of issue. Also, there are a lot of utilities like mod conflict detector and better exemptions that can allow you to ensure that you don't have any bad mods on your system or to troubleshoot errors when they do occur. In general, you will find that if you maintain your mods, you won't have very many issues, and if you have those two utilities, you'll be able to sort them out fairly quickly. I will leave manuals to both of those down below, as explaining their entire operations in this video would make this video really long. One of the most important things that I recommend is keeping your CC organized. You're going to want to keep your script mods separate from your CC so that you can more easily take them out. For mods, I try to avoid renaming them because when a creator makes an update, I want to be really clear which thing I'm updating. Some mods have very similar names. So if we're removing all of our CC before the patch, what do we do after the patch to get the CC back into place? So first off, patch your game, and you're going to want to log into the game. Do not touch any of your saves, create a new game, create a new character, log into the game, just make sure things are working. Make sure that the game itself updated properly. You never want to be in a situation where you immediately put your custom content back and everything's broken and you assume that it's your custom content when in reality your update just failed. So always test the game first before you put your CC back. That is why when you boot up the game for the first time after a patch, the little toggle for mods in the settings is always disabled. So once you've tested that, you're going to want to re-enable that setting. At that point in time, I put all of my custom content back. So all of my cast CC, all of my build and buy CC, I put all of that back. Unless I think there's going to be some reason for that stuff to be broken, then I do the same thing. I log into the game. I don't test any of my existing saves. I just create a new save, log in, create a new character, log into the game, make sure the game is still working with the CC. From there, you're pretty certain that your custom content works and your game works. Next, I always follow custom content creators that I love on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Patreon, whatever it is that they have, so I know that I'm getting their most regular updates. As those creators say that their mods are updated, I start downloading the new versions, and once I have verified that the game works and that the CC works, I'll put in those mods. Sometimes you do have mods that are less popular or that the creators don't maintain anymore. There's a creator called Luthien Rising who is always really good at making a post on the Sims 4 forums pretty much as soon as one of those patches hits to keep an update on the status on various patches and updates. You can get a lot of good information there. Once a mod has been listed as clean there, a lot of times I will put it back in the game. Some people are tempted to just throw everything back in and wait until something breaks. Problem is, say you have a mod that in some way modifies toddlers and you don't have any toddlers in your game. You may play for like 3 hours and then your character finally ages up your baby into a toddler and then your game crashes and you lose all your progress. You don't want to put those mods back in if you care about your data unless you're sure that they're going to work or you've had a chance to give them a little bit of a test on data that you don't care about, hence why you want to create a new save every time. You don't want to risk messing up something with one of your existing saves. We generally get a few days between the patch and the expansion release, and a lot of CC creators are able to update their CC before the expansion releases. However, if you do have CC that you can't find any confirmation on, I recommend just adding things one at a time, doing some testing on saves you don't care about, on characters you don't care about. You know, if it is a toddler mod that you are putting back, make a toddler, make sure it works before you trust that with your save. So what if you can't do that in time? Like, what if you have saves that you are working on for a Let's Play or for your Instagram or something like that, and you don't have time to upgrade it? You can turn off the automatic game updates in Origin. You just won't be able to use Eco Lifestyle or any of the new features until you do that. So basically in Origin, you'll want to go into the application settings and you'll want to disable automatic update and then use the go offline button to avoid Origin going online and pulling that update. That'll give you a little bit of extra time if you didn't see this video and it's about to patch and you're like, oh, I need to do stuff before this patches. A few final thoughts on avoiding data loss. Don't play on the same save forever if you can avoid it. Old, large, convoluted saves are always the ones that I've had the most problem with. If you're not trying to make one big expansive world where all of your characters interact, just have multiple saves. A lot of times if one of my sims makes a big decision and I'm not sure about it, I will do a save as and I will create a new save so I have that secondary point that I can jump back to at a later date. Know whose CC you have and where to get those updates from so you can keep on top of it. Then you have less work to do. You don't have to spend like an entire 8-hour day just fixing CC if you have a lot of CC, like some of us do because we're irresponsible at times and we don't necessarily take our own advice. To that end, be very careful where you get your mods from. It can be very tempting to get mods and CC from people that share their mods folders online, or from people that get mods from behind paywalls, or mods that are not released anymore, but you have no guarantee that that mod is good. And on top of that, you have no one to blame if something goes wrong from having that mod. It might not be the right mod. It might be an old version of the mod. It could just be a virus in a zip file. Like you have no way of knowing. At least if you're getting CC from a creator and that creator sends you a virus, you know who screwed with your stuff. And for the most part, a reliable creator you can trust not to do that. You have no idea if you're just getting it from somebody sharing their mods folder on, Facebook. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments and I will answer to the best of my ability. There are a couple of subjects that I sort of glossed over in the meanwhile in the process of this video, and if you want further detail on any of them, please let me know. I was trying to not make this 3 hours long. I could probably make like an hour-long video on avoiding data loss on The Sims. This is actually the short version. So if you do have further questions about how to use any of these mods to check your files, more concrete information on how to organize CC, I'd do it if there was enough interest, but I don't know if people care about that stuff. Anyway, if you've watched this far, you must have liked something. So you may as well like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye.